Bill Shorten. Michael Danby, who was in Paris 3 months ago on behalf of the government for briefings on radical Islam. Michael Danby, welcome. Firstly, what is your reaction to the actions of these gunmen and a female accomplice?
Vanessa, it's shocking. We feel for the people of France. It's a great civilisation, it's a great culture, it's a democratic country like ours, and we have so many young French people here. We had 1,000 people demonstrating in Federation Square here. It's terrible events, and the most important thing is to be rational about them, not overreact. We understand that these events are connected now. We can't say that the shooter in either of the incidents were not connected. They were making phone calls to each other. This seems to be some kind of sick competition between Al-Qaeda and IS to show one is more militant at killing innocent civilians in the West than the other. And the other important lesson we must take out of this too is this is the death of political correctness. This is no longer an issue for people to have philosophical debates about whether we should face this reality or not. Particularly people like myself on the political left of centre have to face the fact that there is a jihadist element to terrorism, that there is a part of one of the great three Abrahamic faiths that's misusing its religion for political purposes. We have to be very careful not to blame the vast majority of Muslim citizens either here or in Europe, but there is an element. We have to face them, we have to react rationally, and luckily here in Australia we've been pretty united. The Parliament's passed 3 tranches of counter-terrorism legislation, and in a measured local way we've been able to increase the powers of our police and security forces that hopefully will prevent more events like the Lint Cafe or like the terrible events we've seen in France.
Are there lessons to be learnt for Australia and counter-terrorism agencies here from these attacks in Paris? Well,
one of the things that people have been criticising the French intelligence and police services for, I think unfairly, is the fact that their activities weren't known about beforehand, because they're from known terrorist organisations, and this was obviously planned in some kind of way. That's why we need in Australia, and they need in France too, this new kind of data legislation to focus on people's metadata. This is the best way of preventing these things, by intercepting people's telephone calls. It's not used, this legislation, to monitor the under-35's porn habits. We're not seeking to ruin people's privacy. This is legislation that's necessary in order to prevent people physically harming our fellow Australians, and in Europe's case, Europeans. So that's one of the big lessons I take out of it. But Vanessa, I've got another message too for you and your journalistic colleagues and editors. It's very important that media organisations have protocols of how to behave when these incidents are actually happening. I think only one television station was a breakout during the recent Lint the Lint shop attacks where 2 of our fellow Australians were killed. But we need to be very careful that we don't use the media, or it's misused by people during a siege to pick up information. Remember, the paradigm of this was what happened at the 1972 Olympics, the so-called Munich massacre. And when the German police were about to go in to rescue the Olympic hostages, German television was broadcasting it, and the terrorists were watching TV. So we have to be very careful about this kind of behaviour. And it's no criticism of people in the media, it's just that unfortunately, because of these events and the fact that they may happen again, God forbid, you need to be prepared.
I think you're referring to the fact that a French television station reportedly hacked into the security arrangements at the kosher supermarket and made contact with a hostage who was hiding in a fridge. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, that's right. And I know a very well-known international professor and a very reputable media organisation that tweeted this. And it just happened, of all things, that I happened to be on Twitter a few seconds afterwards. And I was a bit rough with them. I said they were imbeciles and they should take it straight down. The professor's since apologised for doing that and apologised to me.
Look, I think you're onto something. Michael Danby sounds like completely accurate assessment of his behaviour from where I sit, and I am happy to report that Sky News, along with a lot of our television and newspaper colleagues, did do the right thing during the Sydney siege, and there was a lot of information I was working that morning that we weren't putting to air. But you are right, and we do have the protocols here. But we thank you for your time.
Well, good on you, and thanks for having the good sense to do that on behalf of all Australians, not just your colleagues in journalism.
Michael Danby, thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
your insights. The Shadow Parliamentary Secretary for Bill Shorten.